everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of ThinkTank Thursday. I'm Candi, and I'm excited to be spending this time with you at True Entertainment. On Thursday, we like to take a little bit of time away from the doing, and there's so much to do right now, and spend a little bit of time thinking. And we have the best guest of all guests today. So Beth is here with us, but of course I have to give a shout out to our 2021 digital sponsors before I dive into this conversation I'm excited to have with her today. You see them on the side. We have Creative Works, Party Center Software, Hagar Communications, Simnox, Redemption Plus, Expert Hosiery, Embed, Schaefer Distributing, and People First. Without them, these episodes couldn't come to you guys every week. So let's welcome Beth back onto ThinkTank. It hasn't been that long. It's just been a couple of weeks since her and Sonia were on here with you guys. But welcome back, Beth.
Hello. I'm always happy to be here. You know, ThinkTank is, it's crazy. We're well over 2 years old, Candi. And I can remember my brilliant idea that we would be completely live. Except then I started doing them in Mexican food restaurants where it was too loud. And you put your foot down because you're a great leader and you said, ThinkTank's a great idea, but we don't have to be live every single time. So I love the strategy. I love the interesting people we get to talk to. And I love taking a minute to just kind of get out of our own way and spend a little time thinking. So
yeah, I'll never forget that meeting. It was early on, so we were still kind of learning how to deal with each other. And you were trying to sell me on, but you were like, "No, I really want to do this continuously." And I was like, finally, like, I like the idea.
I don't like it always being live and scary. Let's get ready. Let's do it. You know, it's fun, and we get to talk to great folks and about. You know, and just kind of about anything too, you know. So I would give a shout out that if people want to be on ThinkTank, hit us up, you know, let us know on Facebook. You should be watching us there right now. Send us a note. And if you've got something important to think about that you want to talk about, we want to listen.
Yeah. I will take anybody to come on to ThinkTank. I think all types of people in our industry and other industries are
out of our industry. Yeah.
So this week I wanted to bring you on because Beth, you've been doing a whole lot of travel lately.
I have in fact. You know, it's like we didn't travel at all in 2020. I think I was the last of the cruisers, Candi, in 2020. I got off of a boat on March the 14th. And it was more than a year later. I think I traveled at the end of April. I mean, I went a couple places in the car, but getting on a plane and going someplace. But I went to Vegas at the end of April, and then I've even been to Carousel. So I went out of the country, and you know, last week I just went to Cancun in Mexico. So.
Yes, Vegas twice. You went early on, and then you went for Amusement Expo not too long ago.
Yes. Yeah.
So with all of your travels and with the state of not just our industry, the hospitality industry as a whole, in terms of guest service, in terms of staff, in terms of how do you operate with this pent up desire that people have to want to come out and less. And so you have experienced a lot of guest service experiences, from all inclusives to just restaurants. I just wanted to pick your brain and talk about you know, the differences between that, similarities, the trends, some aha moments of how we can still give great guest service even in this struggling time. But first, lay out for everyone kind of all the places you've been.
Okay. Well, so like you said, I went to Vegas. I traveled to Rochester, participated in a Lasertron event, and mostly had service from the Tron folks, which was out of this world. They have a great staff, and the hotel, like, they just couldn't do enough, but they're real connected. Like, that's something that's real normal in that particular event. I've gone to that event a number of times, and the consistency at the hotel, in my opinion, there was the same. So that was interesting. Went to Carousel. I got to tell you, Candi, they were not. Leslie, my daughter, and I celebrate our our 40, 60 birthdays. And our birthdays are both in May and Mother's Day's in May. So she and I always try to do something kind of big. And so she had 17 of us, and we were at this beautiful resort in Carousel. And Carousel really didn't get open until about 2 weeks prior to our traveling.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't know, but what we were going to be limited just to the resort that we were at. But I got to tell you something. They had the same challenges at that resort as we have as staffing. And the reason I know this is because the people who checked us in and took us to our room and delivered towels out on the beach and did the massage and worked in the restaurants, they were all the same few people.
Oh.
Like they were like, I might have seen the guy that helped us with our bags to the room 2 or 3 times in the same day doing something completely different. So they were hustling their bustle. And you know what? They seemed so happy to be at work. And that was a distinct difference that I saw from Carousel, and the difference maybe here in some places in the States. Just a joy to be at work. Like they just, I don't even have another word for it. And that went from the person who, got us from the airport to the resort. We did this catamaran thing, and all of those people were very, very consistent. So I don't know if it's just a culture at that island. I asked the front desk lady that was so awesome. I said, y'all are so awesome, and you're so joyful about being at work, and your service is so great. Is that an island culture, or is that here at Lion's Den? She said, it's here. It's just here. But I think it was probably part of their culture. And just like I say, an excitement and enthusiasm about being back to work. So that was the end of May. I went someplace early in June. I can't remember where, but then we did go to Vegas.
In Louisville.
Louisville. So that was weird. I don't think Louisville was ready for as many guests as the convention brought. They certainly, I think they did as good as they could. Mm-hmm. But we could see, and I think you were there, Candi, and whoever was serving you in the morning, they were closing the bar at 10 o'clock because those people have been there since 8 o'clock that morning.
I know, I felt so bad for them because that is a hustle job. You're constantly going. And so to be the opening bar and the closing bar, and the crowd would get upset because it would be 10:30 and, there'd be lots of people there and they'd be like, we're closing, last call. And when you actually talked to them and found out, they're closing because they can't do this.
They can't do it. They can't do it anymore. They can't go any further. I got to tell you, to me, that's one of the big lessons in what we need to do right now about service. I think if you have to shorten your hours, if you have to run that business different, if you got a break in the afternoon when you don't normally have people there or something like that, I'm not so sure that's not a bad idea right now, so that people can be fresh and so that people can have a quality of life that makes sense. Because as a consumer, as a consumer and as somebody who provides service, I would rather have somebody who's ready to do the job, happy that they're there. Like, I'm okay to pay a little more. I'm okay to be a little more patient if the service is genuine and joyful. I'm so crazy, Candi, that when I drive through the toll booth at the airport, when that person smiles at me and it seems like they're happy to be there, it makes me happy.
I've always been one that will pay more for service. before I moved to this house, my house, there was pretty much, I could go to, a big department grocery store, or I could go to another one. And the other one I went to, and I knew I paid more. But when I walked by the meat department, the guy was always like, do you need anything cut for you? Can I break down any of the portion sizes? If you pass somebody in the aisle, they always were like, are you finding everything that you need? And so I knew I paid more, and I was 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
It just is. Now, I don't think that you can like randomly change your hours, but I think it's okay to say, for the next 3 months, we're going to close early or open later, or we're going to be closed from 2
on Wednesday
to 6 p.m. or we're going to be closed for Wednesday. Don't you have a Mexican restaurant that did this and has
my favorite. They were always closed on Mondays, and I'd drive up there and forget on a Monday, and I'd be like, shoot, they're closed on Mondays. And it didn't make me not want to go again. It just made me think, oh, I can't go to Fresco's on Mondays. And so I think sometimes, and if this pandemic has taught us anything, I think it's helped us understand we can make decisions that we're unsure of. We need to make them quickly, and we can change our minds. That it's okay to try something that you never thought of before. Because what you do know is that you want to give people great service. Like, great service isn't going out of style. And even if technology begins to replace some of the server functions, it doesn't mean that service is going to go away, and it shouldn't. When we went to, it was crazy because when we went to Vegas the first time at the end of April, 1st of May, everything was still distanced. You had to wear a mask. Partitions were up at the tables. You know me, I'm a degenerate ultimate Texas Hold'em card player. Only 3 people could be at the table. My daughter and I, we couldn't even hardly hear each other because we had a mask on and the partition was there. And so I'd have to lean back, and she'd say, Mom, I don't know what you're saying. And the day after we left, I think they released the mask mandate. And then you fast forward to the 1st of July, which wasn't, it was 1st of May, now 1st of July. And the service was we had a bad encounter on that April trip with the dealer. Just hateful, which could happen anytime in Vegas, but most of the time I'm a very fun, nice consumer. And so I think part of that helps me receive fun, nice service. Right? I think you get what you give. And while I'm going to be critical, and I've been known to write a note on the back of a check and not leave a tip, but explain why I didn't leave a tip because I didn't want to encourage that same crappy behavior. I'm the first one to go tell a manager to thank somebody, be at the drive-through, a server, a manager, whatever. So, but I certainly have a high level of expectation about what service looks like, and I'm unafraid. And it's probably because I own a training and a coaching company that focuses on hospitality. So I'm unafraid to give feedback, good or constructive. I forgot what I was going to say. So we were in Vegas, the partitions were up, had the altercation with you couldn't even stand behind somebody.
Yeah.
Watch them play. And so that was I feel so sorry for those dealers, those pit bosses, our people who were having to play mask police.
Just also think about the energy from the people at the table is probably what keeps those dealers going for their shifts the whole time. And that energy was not there and could not be there. And so it's hard to play to a crowd when you don't have a crowd, even if your crowd is only of 6 people at a game.
Well, right,
that's your crowd.
Well, right. And a lot of times you did have fans standing and cheering and, adding to the energy of it. So that was really different because of the distancing and the circumstances. And I do think that, in hospitality, we can't rely on our frontline staff to be the mask police. At this point, and who knows if mandates are coming and things like that. But I think the crew ought to mask up and take care of each other and make sure they're safe. But I think the customers are crazy right now. Me, I've been asking the question a bunch on Peer Talk about how long will we get grace from the consumer? Because listen, it's not the consumer's issue that we're short staffed and can't find anybody.
No.
And they don't care to hear it. Like, you don't even need to give it as an excuse. You just need to do what you can do. And if you can't seat enough people because you don't have enough servers, well, then don't seat any more than you can serve.
I know. As a consumer, and this is someone who comes from the restaurant industry, I was a bartender. That's how and then I came into the attractions industry and then to leadership. I would much rather you shut down than get horrible service. And then
exactly,
everyone the question is this grace period. We're in this grace period. I think people are forgiving. How long will that last? And we're all in this as an industry together. And this is the thing that keeps me up at night. So if we are not if we can't give great service, if people are having to wait a long time, if all of these things because of lack of staff, like how many times do we expect people to come back as they're reforming habits after being home for so long?
Right.
And I think that's what we have to think about. But so many people, I think, just think about, I have to be open all my hours and I have to get as much revenue as possible. If it's a good financial decision, is more than just how much money are you adding to the top line as far as how much your total revenue is coming in. How much does it cost? What is your staffing cost? What are the mistakes cost? What do the reviews cost you on social media if you get bad reviews? All of those types of things. And how much can you, and then there's more of a bottom line.
Well, right. What's the profit financially, emotionally, physically? What's the financial profit or cost financially, physically, emotionally? Like, all that matters.
I know. I was talking to somebody locally in my town about like a lunch, and they're like, yeah, but we do $600 for lunch, and so I don't know if it's worth it to close. I was like, well, let's talk about costs. Like, what does it cost you to be open for that lunch instead of just closing and giving that extra shift, because they're having a hard time filling their whole shift, their whole week's worth. And it ended up that they were almost break even at the end of it. Like, so won't lose anything.
Right.
People will get used to you not being open for that particular shift. And so are there any bad service experiences that stick out?
Well, the plane is interesting. And of course, if you've seen any news at all, I think the last
it's getting worse.
Is like 3,500 incidences. Well, this past week, somebody got duct taped to their chair because they were acting such a fool. I was up front, and so I could hear what was going on with the flight attendants. And what had happened is somebody in the exit row refused to say they would open the exit, the door. And she said, well, then I need to relocate you. Mm-hmm. No, I won't do that. I'm not relocating either. She said, well, you can't fly in this seat
unless you verbally
tell me that you're willing and able to help us here. And so she had to come up and retell the story, and had to literally go get the gate agent to come to take the person off the plane if they didn't comply. Now, they wound up complying, and so that was good. But then, like, the flight attendants, and they're close enough so I can hear them. And my point about this is, people can hear you when you're talking to other staff.
Yeah.
Your customers might be able to hear you, but because I could hear them. And they were talking about 12 and 13-hour shifts and how horrible this is. And I was just like, oh my Lord. And so immediately I'm like, is the pilot about to time out? Should he time out? Surely they're not letting those pilots fly 12 or 13 hours a day. So like, as a consumer, it messed with my confidence. And I felt sorry for them too. And, you need to watch yourself. You need to watch your face. You need to watch your attitude. You need to, watch that stuff, because all that stuff is visible, and I mean, and I've had lots of good service. I've had lots of good service. I've had lots of service where I felt like they were probably going through the motions.
Are there any trends that stick out that you believe, even in this challenging time of, lower staff numbers, lots more business and all that you can still consistently make sure you do to make sure that your experience is at least above par?
Well, I think looking people in the eye and saying hello and being glad they're there, and being glad you're there, it is number one. Get up. If you got a job every day, make a commitment to, I'm going to make this the best day I can. And I don't, Kenny, I just don't think that changes no matter what you do, whether you're in hospitality or not. Something trend wise that I wonder about is, will we go to more full-time staff? Will we upgrade the pay? Because I think we're going to have to upgrade pay in order to get anybody at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do so, would we be better to cross-train well and work people 30 or 40 hours a week? Because, somebody who's well-trained is way more valuable than 2 or 3 people trying to halfway get the job done. And so I just wonder if we may go to more full-time key positions and less part-time staff. Don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think I think what will actually happen, it'll be a slow adoption because you have a lot of just locally owned restaurants that may not have the capital. And I think that, give a shout out to Pier Talk. I think that this already came up, and Brian Smith at Pier Talk said that he went to Hard Rock Cafe or Planet Hollywood, and I get those two totally confused in my head all the time. So one of those, and basically you ordered everything yourself, and so that they had this big dining room that they only needed 2 or 3 servers to completely do, because you were ordering your own food, you were telling it when you needed your own drink refills, you were telling it when you wanted to order another alcoholic beverage. Essentially, these people were just runners and table attendants, clear off your tables.
Which is a lower level position, I think.
I don't think it will be treated that way, though. Like, it's not a busser. Bussers don't actually speak to tables in most restaurants. Like, they're not really supposed to speak to tables. They come in and are invisible. So I think you'll see more of a trend for technology in there. But what I hope doesn't happen, as someone who loves guest service and loves that part of hospitality, is that, okay, so you have a dining room and you're sharing that with like 3 servers who can cover the whole thing, where you used to maybe need 8 servers. There's personal touch points that you need to work into that guest service strategy to make sure that it's still an experience, and a service-based experience at that. It makes me think of, we just had an in-person conference 2 weeks ago, and on the last day we went to eat at Lucky Dog, I think is the name.
Yeah, yes.
And it's a restaurant, it's not a smaller restaurant. So I'm sure they're having all of the same struggles as any other restaurant we have been to in our travels. But not once did they make us feel those struggles.
No, they didn't talk. Yeah, they didn't talk to us about being short-staffed. You know what I loved about that Lazy Dog experience, though? She asked us, remember, Candi, if it was our first time or whatever. And I had been to Lazy Dogs, but none of the 4 or 5 of y'all had been. And so then in a minute, her boss, who was the bartender, by the way, I think, showed up with like
a signature appetizer, whatever it was.
Yeah. And gave it to us, because it was our first time. And I just thought that was such a nice touch, and they didn't have to do that. And if I think about it, our service was probably pretty slow at Lazy Dogs, but I didn't care. Like, we were engaged, and like you said, the touch points were so excellent that it just didn't matter. I think somebody different delivered our food than ordered our food. Like, I think I made that comment about how that team must really be working together.
At the end, the server did say, give us basically a referral back card where it had her name on it. And she's like, you know,
yeah.
I know this is your first time. I'd love for you to come back. And here's a card. And it had her name on it. And it gave us, I don't know if it was a free appetizer. I gave my card to you because I don't live in the area. But it gave something to come back. But those table touches, I think even before the struggle, have just gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
And I think they make such a big difference in an experience factor. If you can be the mayor of your village at least every 15 minutes. When I was in restaurant operations, we used to have a clock. It would go off every 20 minutes in the back, and the clock said two things: go check restrooms, and a manager should be on the floor and start touching tables. And do the circle around to touch tables. But
right.
So I think that you can do that. And so if and when technology comes and has more of a presence in the service industry, I think you're going to have to rely on those types of things to create it as more of an experience.
Well, I think the technology can help ramp up service, because it's going to take away some of the stuff you have to do and allow you to do the service piece, allow you to table touch and that sort of thing. I was thinking, oh, I'm so sorry. It just like flipped out of my mind. When you said Planet Hollywood, that's the resort we stayed at in Cancun last week. And they were amazing. Now, we were star class. We had the best for my kids, right? We were star class. And so we had RFID bracelets on all week. And the staff noticed that. And so then they would say, how's everything been? I mean, even checking how's the air conditioning and the pool boy, you know, who's laying towels out and making us happy. How's the room? You know, are you cool enough? Everything working fine? How is your mini fridge stocked? I mean, like, just following up on things that I didn't even know the mini fridge was stuff we could take. I had M&Ms.
You were that high up.
I'm like, whoa, yes. I thought you had to pay $9 for M&Ms, but it was all free.
You talking about the RFID and them noticing it reminds me of birthday parties and, you know, putting a sticker or a button on and having other stuff that is not the host or is not related to the birthday party, notice them as they're around and making sure that they wish them a happy birthday or do something special with them. What trends, if you had 3 positive experiences, what about those experiences stuck out that made them positive and stuck with you in your travels?
Well, very simply, anytime anybody would call me by name, except I will share a big top secret piece of information. My travel and hotel flight gambling name is Helen, because my first name is Helen. And so that's interesting. I have to get used to that, but it's fun. Anytime somebody uses my name, and I don't know if that's the peacock that lives in me that likes that attention, but it's just personal, right? So to me, that always stands out. I thought the lazy dog thing with the appetizer, like that was in your terms, that was a surprise and delight moment, Candi.
Yes.
If you want to know more about that, you need to be watching for Candi to come do next webinar, service webinar, and then we have clinics. We have virtual
service webinar will drop on Friday, September 3rd at 1 p.m. and the registration page, if you want access to that when it drops, when it goes out, you can go and fill out the form and you get access to it, and it will lead into, in Q4 we will have 2 virtual clinics, one in October 7th, and one in December, I think the 2nd, if that's that Thursday, where we will work through after you have a foundation of customer service, and everyone should have a basic foundation of what you want your customer service identity to be. There's 4 steps that we walk through to kind of just elevate that and sprinkle the magic on it to make it a little bit better to go through. And that's what those virtual workshops will do. We'll work through the first 2 letters at the first workshop. And this is going to be different than what you may be used to. It is really going to be a working workshop. So come prepared with ideas and to share and to help other people refine their ideas. And then the last one will work through the second 2 letters. And so if you come to both, you'll have your extended customer service strategy going into 2022.
They'll know how to soar.
Mm-hmm.
With great guest service. That's right. That's right. Let's see. So Lazy Dog, using my name. Oh, Candi, I'm such a brat. Any first class type experience, whether I'm on the plane, if I get to ride up front, that's always better. And, I thought it was so pretentious when I never flew up front. I thought, oh, those people are snotty. Well, I've joined the snotty class because up front, the things are bigger. My hips fit better. I'm not as crowded. I get to get off the plane sooner. If I want to have a glass of wine, they bring it to me. It's just better.
So you like some exclusivity. So are there incidents that you have experienced that they can make you feel like it's exclusive for you or special for you when maybe it's not?
Yes. I mean, I certainly have had that kind of experience. We recently held a celebration of life for my husband at Bolero here it's the bowling center I bowled at for 31 years. And that staff at Bolero, they went over and above. Planning a celebration of life is not an easy thing. Mm-hmm. And I was pretty emotional when I was planning the event with Jeremy. And I got to tell you, I was kind of diva-like because he didn't know me.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't know me. And and then I realized, oh, wow, we didn't bowl in 2020 and we didn't bowl in 2021. And oh, wait, Jerry was at MD Anderson in 2019. So this young man was a new general manager to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him, but I know his boss and I know his boss's boss. So I had tried to create my own first class experience because I went above him and I did not need to do that. That man on the ground, shout out Jeremy and his staff, they were unbelievable. And I mean, from the guest service person on the ground to the young woman behind the counter, it was so important to them that this event be perfect. And they didn't just treat me that way. They treated every single guest in the building that way. And so I would say that was an over and above experience that I certainly expected it to go well, but I didn't have any idea that it would be what it was and that his staff would be so engaged and involved. I think he prepped his staff well and they were all in. And for no reason other than it was important, But isn't that what every event should be?
Because it is important to them.
It is. So whether it's a birthday or a company outing or an anniversary or a bachelor party or whatever it is, it's super important to whoever's holding it. And the attitude they had was just incredible. Oh, you know what, Candi? That's what it is too. It's not even the stuff. Oh yeah, it's not even the stuff. It's the attitude. It's that attitude of gratitude about I'm glad you're here and I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, the attitude and the attitude for gratitude and having the right people in the right seats is definitely part of your foundation. We are customer facing. And so if you're customer facing, you don't get to have, it's not that you don't get to have a bad day. It's just that you got to learn how to fake it sometimes throughout an entire shift or find your joy in helping other people have joy. And that is the type of people that you need there. So it's funny, the things that I heard you say is you liked experiences that gave you some sort of connection.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, you got that right.
Then you enjoyed experiences that provided you with a surprise and delight, something you
Oh
didn't
yeah.
see coming.
Oh yeah.
And when it was like, oh, well, thank you for that. And that you enjoyed experiences that found small ways, not huge ways. It didn't seem
Right.
like, but just small ways that they possibly could over deliver on your expectations.
Oh, Candi, that makes me think about, and again, this is kind of a first class experience, but I didn't know that that's what it was going to be. The first time we sailed in the Haven, which is a really nice spot on the ship, but I didn't know about it.
Mhm.
But it was over my birthday. It was one of those,
Go big.
probably 35, 55 or something like that. And we did our first shore excursion. We'd been at sea and we did a shore excursion, and we were out, take Thomas or something like that. And it was my actual birthday. It was on the 17th. And so when we got back to the ship, oh my gosh, they had decorated the room. So there were crepe paper streamers, which probably cost,
Dollar.
20 cents and a little bit of time.
Mhm.
And then a happy birthday banner. And there was a cupcake from like housekeeping. And there was some other little treat from another part of the butler or whatever.
Mhm.
And then I never want to go. I never want to travel any other way in the Haven. So that's how it works. You treat somebody first class. Mark Weiss out at Airways. I'm trying to think. They're oh dang it. Their hybrid. I mean, their private boutique area
Okay.
is called. I don't think it's called first class, but it's like something like that. So you feel like it's the first class part of the
Experience.
And it's so fabulous, and it is, and like you want to be there, and people will pay more for that, and they'll go in with the higher expectation of service, and so you better deliver. But anyway, you got me all fired up about that.
I'll add to this. I recently had the carpet in my house clean, and that's such a routine. You gotta get carpet cleans, call people to do it. They come out to do it. It was done. I was happy it was done. All was well. And a week later, a handwritten thank you letter from the owner of that company was in my mailbox. I actually have it here. And it just says thank you. And it was addressed to me. And it just says, Busy Bee Carpet Cleaning. Thank you for your business. We're glad you chose us. And it's handwritten. You can see that it's not printed out, like it totally. And I think those small touches can go a long way. That's a surprise and delight. I wasn't expecting it. It was over. Our transaction was over. I'd paid for it. Done.
Yeah, that's awesome. It changes a transaction into a relationship, and who you're going to use next time for your carpet cleaner.
Well, we all know I'm a loyalist anyway. If you can do all the things, I can, as long as you don't fall below par, I'm pretty much a loyalist. You'll have me for life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think you have to keep that in mind. And I'm not sure that the everyday frontline staff, the everyday frontline guest service provider, I'm just not sure they understand how important they are and what a difference they make. And I think as leaders, we can help instill that. We can help show them. We can help them experience it. Right.
Well, I think it goes around in circles too. I got to give a shout out to a client of ours that works at the riverfront because school just started. And I think it's a circle. You have to show appreciation and an attitude of gratitude towards your staff for what all they're enduring at this moment. And they will in turn show that attitude of gratitude out. It's the domino effect. It's, the random acts of kindness, those types of things, like it just trickles onto other people. And I got to give a shout out to the works because school just started in that area, and every one of their staff members, whether they were going to school or not, so even their older staff members got a back to school goodie bag out of and on their hooks. We've heard on Pure Talk people who are bringing in different food, like so that you don't have to create food from them.
Yeah. Coconut bowl. Craig feeds his people once a week. Like he's all in and understanding how, like he was way short staffed in the beginning, and they've got a giant facility, and he took great care of his people. Yeah.
So I think it's got to be a circle where you show an attitude of gratitude to your staff, fun ways to do that. They'll show an attitude of gratitude to your customers and your guests, however you think of them. And that has to continue on. You can't just expect they should be lucky to have a job anymore in this world.
No.
We would love to hear from any of you guys. What are you doing to keep up your customer service? Are there any of those small touch points that you are doing that you would like to share? We have a Facebook group called Pure Power. It's super easy to search, or you can email me and I'll send you a link and invite you. Or if you're, hopefully we have quite a few members already over there. You can go and share your thoughts there. I'd love to find these out of the box, small, don't cost a whole lot, like writing a thank you card to someone that maybe we can do, and maybe we can get us through this tide of that's a little bit of a struggle right now. And we've gotten this far together as an industry.
Oh yeah, we're gonna just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I got this, one of my I don't know if this will show up or not. I probably should.
Oh yeah, you forgot.
One of my, does that show up okay? Here, I'm gonna undo it just because this is such a good. Hang on just a minute. Choose video virtual background.
Should have changed your hats as you were talking about the different places that you went.
Yeah, so I should have. So I'm pretty stoked about this new hat. And what I want to say is the girl that was so great with service was so great that not only do I have this hat, I have a bag that matches. Oh, and wait, a cover-up dress that goes with it as well. And so just to prove that point that can make a big difference. Oops, wait, what I noticed on a different day was this hat. And I never knew that I was such a hat fan. But for those of
if you paint peacocks on it, you definitely are.
Peacocks and Trainertainment Blue, how could I?
I think you're teaching. I think you got to teach at the birthday conference. I think you got to wear the hat.
I got to wear the hat.
You got to plan an outfit with the hat.
I think that's right. I think that's right. So,
and hopefully, some of you guys will decide to come to the birthday conference and spend it with us. It'll be live. We have an agreement with the Loft in Dallas. It's such a cute hotel after going there. Very, very cute. And we'll be there September 1st and 2nd. And lots of our sponsors have scholarships. So, you see that list on the side. You can reach out to a lot of them and they can hook you up, and you can come and spend some time with Trainertainment and get your birthday parties ready for birthday party season.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I love Think Tank Thursday. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to get the drop on you. Candi. Okay, I'm getting interviewed. Get the drop on me. Go ahead.
What are you currently doing to grow yourself and or others?
So I am, it's been a wild 5 months, and I'm still not able to do, I think, what classically people would talk about as grief work. I'm going to therapy. I'm seeing a therapist, and I happen to think that that's really helpful right now. And I think that's good for others, probably for others in my life, and then for others personally to go get their own therapy and their own counseling.
I think probably every person needs therapy at some point.
Well, I do too. And then it's amazing. So I'm reading this book right here. It's a hard read. I had read Adam Grant, Think Again, and really miraculously, this book, Option B by Sheryl Sandberg, she wrote Lean In. And she's a big exec at Facebook. And her husband passed away suddenly on vacation while he was out working out, and she found him. And they had 2 small children. I think they'd only been married 11 years. And this book is crazy. It just showed up on my desk. And so I'm working my way through that. I'm also working on clearing my clutter the feng shui way. And I have a devotional book. What am I listening to? I listened to The Great Game of Business.
You listened to 10% Happier too, right?
Oh, and yes, and I'm almost through 10% Happier, and that one is particularly good. Let me see. I don't think I'm through it though. Yeah, 10% Happier. I have it's so funny too. And so I'm kind of working on a little bit of meditation. I can meditate. I'm proud to tell you, about 2 minutes at a time.
Progress.
Right. Not perfection. Progress, not perfection. So yeah, there you go. I'm always kind of all in. It's been difficult to read in the last 5 months. It's been difficult to focus. And I'm so grateful for the support and the love of others. And just taking it a day at a time, Candi.
That sounds awesome. All right. Well, thank you for taking some time out of your day to spend.
What are you growing? How are you growing others?
I'm always listening to podcasts, and it's all, I mean, like, it's not like I am not a single podcast listener. And so like, there's just always a playlist and so I may jump from finance to personal development, to being a parent, to better relationships, business, to sales. Like, it's all the time, all over the place. And so I'm constantly listening to those. I didn't during the summer because it wasn't in my car. I didn't have car drop off of my kids as much. It's back to school. So I think my growing others has a lot to do with my kids at the moment, and just getting them back in routines. And my youngest started pre-K. So, making sure that it's as easy as it can be for her, and allowing her to grow in her own person.
She's a darling little person. Both those girls are. All right. Well, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Thanks again to our sponsors. And if you, like Beth said, if you want to be a guest on Think Tank, shoot me an email, Candi@TrinerTainment.net. We will get you scheduled and bring you up here, and we'll have a lot of fun. I promise everyone who says that when they come on with me, they are nervous, but it's just a conversation. We're just having a conversation. That's all it is. And then you guys make sure to check out our details for the events. We mentioned them here. We've got a birthday conference coming up. We'll have a webinar that drops on September 3rd. And then we have 2 more virtual clinics. And then, Beth, crazy enough, we're far enough in the year that I'll say that wraps up the 2021 event schedule for Trainertainment.
Yeah, well, we're about to publish that 2022. Can't wait to get that in people's hands. So
thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.